Djoken on today's profiles. Welcome to Profiles and welcome to the home of Djoken, the head of the NAACP for Frederick County. Thank you so much for having us here today. I am excited to tell and hear your story. Okay, so you are not from Frederick County to begin with. You grew up in Cameroon, in Africa. Talk to us a bit, Guy, about growing up in Cameroon, your earliest memories, your family, schooling, what it was like to grow up in Africa.
Thank you, Lina, for being here. I'm also very happy to be with you today. Growing up in Cameroon is a very difficult journey. At the time we grew up, it was relatively easy because we have loved our parents, family, but we didn't always have what we needed, like clean water. We need to walk. Sometimes you have to walk miles to get some water. Going to school, we have to walk miles, even until today.
And those are your memories of walking for water, walking for school?
Yes.
Okay.
And again, but we learned that if there was hope to change that, we had to go to school and learn and aspire to change things for the better.
In Cameroon, this idea of aspiring to change things for the better, at one point the country is run by a dictatorship.
Even till now.
Run by a dictatorship, and here you are, someone that protested that dictatorship, and that began the seeds of your own activism, which I want to talk about. But first of all, can you explain to us what it is like to grow up in a country where you can disappear for opposing the government, which is such a foreign concept to us here in the United States? Share that first-hand perspective with us.
Yes.
And which is about your dad as well, 'cause I think that's a very interesting insight.
Yes, talking about my dad is very painful thing to talk about, but I would like to remind, she was jailed as a political prisoner for many, many years. And I used to go to jail. I was still a little boy. I would go with my mom. I asked my mom, why is my dad in jail? And I was never told why. And later I realized that when I grew up, I realized that it was for political. She was the first mayor on her home city.
Your father was the first mayor?
Yes, the first mayor of the city called Chang. So growing up in that environment, the colony, the France, who really colonized the country, made sure that the people in power were not the people who could stand for their own people. So
oh my gosh.
In order to stay in power, they had to make sure that any resistance was squashed
right
away.
And your father was part of the resistance?
Yes. And then so all the people that will say something even slight negative about the government, they'll be knocked at the door in the night and they'll be taken away. So that was known, Cameroon, that you shouldn't talk about the government.
And your father did it and stood up?
Yeah, he did that.
So how did that inspire in you this sense of activism against injustice?
Yes, I would say my father always wanted his kids, his sons and daughters to learn. Knowledge is the key. And I learned, he bought me a book about Gandhi, about Martin Luther King, about all these great people who changed the world. And I think that's where I find my source of inspiration. Knowing Gandhi, what he did in South Africa before going to India and change and win against one of the most powerful countries in the world, Great Britain at that time. Not using any arms, but using the spirit, the power of imagination. I think that's where I learned at a very early age that you have to stand for what is right and be ready to pay the ultimate price for that.
So paying that ultimate price, you had to leave your country at one point because you were protesting against the government, against the dictatorship. Talk about that journey from leaving Cameroon to going to Nigeria, then to Ghana, back to Cameroon, and this long journey of how you came to the U.S. and how that was all inspired by this need to be free from this dictatorship. Talk to us about that.
Yes, need to be free. There are a couple of people in Cameroon now that have been fighting for many years. And again, when the Eastern Wing changed, the perestroika,
right.
You have Gorbachev and the solidarity in Poland. You know, they were changing the world, and the international institutions such as the World Bank and the IMF and the Western democracies like the US said, okay, now we are going to link aid to development and democracy.
Right.
So we were a little bit naive. And we thought, okay, now, since they say they're going to support us, if we go on the street, they are going to come and defend us, you know, against the oppressive government.
Right, because that was the movement. That was what you saw that in Eastern Europe, in the Soviet Union at the time. There was this breath of democracy building. And you thought it would come to Cameroon.
We thought the Western countries are going to help us install democracy in our country. So we went on the street crying for freedom. So, but the repression was real. It was terrible. There are a lot of people, the lucky ones like me, were exiled. Some just vanished.
Oh my gosh.
Until now, we don't know what happened to them. It's a lot of students, and these were young students. So I realized it was time for me to leave. I left Cameroon. I ended up in Nigeria, and then from Nigeria
to Ghana.
I moved to Ghana,
where you were educated further.
Yes. I went to a graduate school over there. I did management, an MBA, and during that time there was a couple of. I went to meet some of the students, the resistance movement. So, after I graduated, I decided to go back again
to Cameroon.
Yes, and when I landed in the airport, I was briefly detained. Some few questions.
We can't imagine that. Our father is a political prisoner. We get detained in our own country, and this is what you've experienced.
Yes.
Okay, so you get detained, and
and they tell you, they know all the things you've been doing, the movement, the meetings. You guys were meeting, and this is unacceptable.
All because you were fighting a dictatorship.
Yes, just because you're trying to have it to make the country better.
Okay.
Okay. So after that, I realized I couldn't stay, so I left. I went back to Ghana, and then Ghana next to Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, where I got my visa to come to New York.
And then of all places, first New York, but how of all places, and I love this story, how did you end up in Frederick County?
Yes, I was in New York. You know, anybody out of here is thinking about going to New York. You know, have a Statue of Liberty, especially people who believe in freedom. You know, Statue of Liberty in New York. So I ended up in New York because I had a lot of friends there that were really gave me opportunity to welcome me, and then give me a shelter to stay and where to start. And I was a poet. I was writing poetry. So I came across Teresa, who used to be in the army. Actually, she wrote a preface in my book.
This is Guy's book. He is a poet by profession. So you met.
I met Teresa, who was fond of my poetry. Teresa. She was in the U.S. Army at 43. I came to visit her, and somehow I stayed.
So it was a woman that brought Guy to Frederick County. And you fell in love with the community.
Yes.
And got your master's from Frostburg
State University.
But came back to Frederick.
Yes, I stayed here. I decided, and now I call Frederick home. So I think that's true.
We're about to go to break, but I want to ask you two quick questions. What inspires your poetry? Because that's what you're known for. You've gotten awards. What inspires your poetry? And what has been the hardest point to date to get here to Frederick County? So those two quick questions. What inspires?
For the poetry is very easy. It's just a way to bring out of my chest all the pain, you know, all the anger about all the things I've been through. So when you read that, you can know where I came from after reading this book.
And the hardest part of getting here?
The hardest part of getting here is, again, the difficulty people are going through right now, immigration. Yes, that was the difficult part, but I was lucky enough to go through the papers.
We'll keep on that topic after this break. Stay with us for more of Guy Djoken and his life here now in Frederick County. Stay with us.